Good morning, everyone. It's just 11 o'clock, so we are going to open up the Strategic Marketing Chamber U program. My name is Michelle Rawl, and I'm with the Lansing Regional Chamber. I am having a little bit of a camera issue right now, so you are going to see the lovely Lansing Chamber logo where my smiling face would normally be. We are going to take the next couple minutes and just let folks continue to log on, work through the technology, and start to join us here. So give us 2, 3, 4 minutes, and we will get the program started. It's great to see so many people jumping on. We know that marketing, and in particular digital marketing, is going to be really critical as we navigate the end of the year and look to 2021. So again, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Julie, for sharing your wealth of information with the business community. I know we have some chamber team members who are logging on to hear the good info too. So we are excited. Always the most awkward and fun time of a program is you sit there and wait for folks to log on. Well, look at that. I was able to get the video to work. So I am able to be here in person, and I'm even in my office today. So it's a lovely, lovely day. But we'll continue to let a few folks jump on here, but really just to kind of frame what we're doing today, this is the Lansing Regional Chamber's Chamber University program. These programs have been around for a couple of years now, but they're really designed for small to medium-sized businesses to learn some tips, tricks, and resources to really go back to your office and maximize your time and your money. And we are really looking for actionable nuggets that you can really go back and start to implement to save those precious resources. Our programs this program in particular would not be able to happen without our wonderful friends at both Fifth Third Bank and Frazier Law Firm. And I'm going to ask Eric Stumpus, who is the marketing director at Frazier Law Firm, to say just a few brief words on behalf of Frazier. Oh, you're on mute, honey.
Got the old mute thing. Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you could join us. Looks to be a great and timely topic, especially as the pandemic and the shutdowns, everything's opening up. Julie's topic and the marketing tools really hope you're able to have some deliverables today. Frazier Jabilcock is proud to sponsor this series for another year with Fifth Third Bank because we recognize how valuable it is for the Chamber to provide members like all of us with resources such as this series. Frazier Jabilcock is one of Michigan's longest established full-service law firms that have offices in Detroit, Grand Rapids, and headquartered right here in Lansing. Some of our practices include business and tax, intellectual property, litigation, and trust and estates, just to name a few. But our attorneys are skilled in more than 70 niche areas, especially focusing on serving your business needs. So thank you, and we hope that you have a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you guys for the continued support. It's been a great, great partnership. We put on a lot of really tremendous programs over the years, and this looks to be another one that we're adding to the queue. Just a couple of Zoom webinar kind of how-tos. We do have the chat function and the Q&A function, and those you can utilize to ask questions. So go ahead and utilize those. Julie, don't worry about what's popping up in the chat function. I'll monitor those and I'll relay those to you at the end. At this time, I'm going to turn the program over to Julie Holton, who is President and CEO, owner of M Connections, and let her talk a little bit about her topic and take it away.
Excellent. Thanks, Michelle. Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Holton. I'm the principal strategist and founder of M Connections Marketing Agency. We're a full service marketing agency here based in Lansing. Websites, social media, email marketing, you name it, we do it. As you can imagine, my role during the last 7 months has been part consultant, part marketer, business owner dealing with this, like many of you as well, human dealing with this. It's pretty safe to say that none of us are following the strategic plans that we built for 2020, right? We've seen major shifts this year in consumer behavior over the last 7 months, which means we need to respond with major shifts in our marketing strategy. When the shutdown started, experts like me immediately started talking about the shift to digital marketing, the importance of digital marketing. Many companies that survived the shutdown and those that even thrived did so because of how they shifted their strategies to a digital focus. But now that the lockdown is over, we know that digital marketing is here to stay, which also means there's more competition in the digital marketing marketplace than ever before. So what does this new normal even look like? For a moment, I want you to first think about yourself. Take your marketing hat off, put your title aside, and really think about what does normal look like for you. I don't know if you remember photos like this one from early on when all those memes and the humor was helping to keep us going. The funny grocery store photos of people wearing those makeshift masks with the pool, inner tubes stuck around them. Hey, that was their normal, right? Well, what does your normal look like? Are you working from your kitchen table? Are you trying to homeschool or virtual school your kids? Are you worried about parents still who are at risk, aging seniors, finances, job security? Are you finding joy in the silver linings? Do you like working from home? Are you taking extra walks with the dog at lunchtime? What does your normal look like now? How has your mindset changed? Keep channeling that as you put your marketing hat back on, because this is what so many people in your target audience are also thinking and feeling and experiencing. And even if their reality is different than yours, this process that you've just gone through to think about what that normal looks like and what's changed for you over the last few months, that's going to help us to better understand how the mindset of our audience has changed. With everything we do, everything needs to come back to this. 44% of Americans say that their lives have changed significantly because of COVID-19. 44%. According to Pew Research, 9 out of 10 people say it has impacted them in some level. So one of the things that we're seeing when it comes to marketing is a shift to values and essentials. What does this mean? So for some, their incomes continue to fall. They're out of work altogether. Others are bracing for maybe the negative impact that could still come. I mean, think about the big announcement from Disney last week and others. We're still really very much feeling the effects of this and will continue to do so. So consumers are mindful about their spending. 40% say they're more mindful of where they spend their money. 31% are changing to less expensive products to save money. 21% are doing research that they didn't do before on brand and product choices. This means different things to different businesses, okay? So I strongly encourage you to take the time to research the data and what it says about your industry, specifically whether you're in retail or others. What do surveys say for your industry? Today, what I'm going to do, because we have a broad range of people that are here on this call, I'm going to give you a list of things that you can do right now to start building a better marketing strategy to communicate with these consumers. The reason why I talk about the research is because we need to understand the mindset of the people we're talking to and what has changed. So I'm going to give you a list of things you can do right now to build that strategy for communication. I'm also going to make sure you have the right selection of marketing technology, tools and techniques for your business. I've actually got a website there on the screen for you, mconnections.com/recovery. You don't have to take frantic notes as we talk through these tools. They're all going to be on that website for you. Then I'm going to also show you some of these tools and techniques in action so that you can see how they're being used right now to drive leads and generate brand awareness, specifically when it comes to social media and email marketing. So there's good news and there's bad news when it comes to this shift in consumer behavior. The good news is that we have an opportunity right now to hit reset on our marketing. The bad news is that we have to hit reset on our marketing. All right, so let's think about this for a minute. How do you mitigate your losses? How can you compete to regain your audience's attention? What is your plan to generate new leads, especially with more competition now online? There's so much to tackle for small businesses. I know, I'm with you. I know this can be overwhelming. So start to peel back some of these layers one at a time so that you can leave today with actionable items to start on to build back revenue. If that's the mode you're in right now, building back, so you have a strong marketing plan in place for new growth. The first thing we're going to talk about right now is the time to re-examine your brand and your brand messaging. Your brand is your promise. It tells your consumers exactly what they can expect from you. It also differentiates you from your competitors. So what makes you different? What makes you likable? What makes you needed? Your brand is derived from who you are, who you want to be, and then what people perceive you to be. And some of this may have changed. A brand messaging worksheet is the first gadget for your toolkit because we have things to consider. What is your mission? Why do you do what you do? What are the benefits and features that your customers will get? In other words, what makes you good at what you do? And what has changed maybe from the start of the year until now? What do your customers and prospects already think of you? What qualities do you want them to think of you? And have you gone missing for a period of time during COVID? How do we start to build that back? What does that look like? We're still working to dig our way out of this global disaster. It's time to really work through these questions and answer them through the lens of the pandemic. As I'm running these exercises with my clients in the last several months, things that we knew to be true about our businesses have changed throughout the pandemic. So it's really important to really take the time and look at this. And face it, if you have changes you've been wanting to make, do it now. Now is your opportunity. So once you've answered all of these questions about you, it's time to turn the tables and create the messaging, because here's the next main point. It's not actually about you. I know that seems counterintuitive, that especially if you're working through a recovery period right now, that your messaging is not about you, but it's not. It's about your customer. It's about your client. Early on, when businesses were shut down to the public, almost immediately there were calls to support these businesses. Messages like buy online to help support our small business, buy gift cards now so that you can help us when we reopen later, or help us to stay open by ordering curbside or delivery or pickup. Notice all of this was very me focused. Support me, help me. Or support us, help us. A lot of these messages were driven by the Lansing Chamber. They were very successful messages, support our small businesses. But that messaging stopped working several months ago, and here's why. It plays on the emotions of our buyers, and it worked on the buyers who maybe at the time didn't have to close their businesses, or those who hadn't lost their jobs. They weren't yet balancing homeschooling with remote working. Months later, we are all feeling the pinch. So again, that messaging has to shift to be back about our clients. The mindset of our buyers has changed, as we talked about a few moments ago. For some of you, your buyers themselves may have changed. This means the messages that we use to communicate to these buyers also needs to change. So the next tool in our kit is a buyer persona. We have to define our audience. What do you need from people? And what do they need from you? That's what your message is, what connects the two of those, what you have and what they need, because it's not about you, it's about them. It's time to reevaluate your buyer persona, which is also another name for your ideal client. You really need to know your customers inside and out, their needs, their goals, their challenges, especially through the lens of this pandemic. We end up making a lot of assumptions about how to market ourselves when we focus on us and what we do instead of on our customers and what they need. So if your buyer persona has changed, that will then change how you're talking to that buyer. So to develop this persona, again, this worksheet's on our website for you if this is something you need to walk through. Who is your ideal buyer? Who is this person? What is their background? What are their goals? What are their challenges right now? What are some everyday questions they have that you should be answering about the buying process? What are some common objections that get in the way for them to not choose you or your product or service? Who are your biggest competitors when you're trying to get this person's attention? And where does this person spend their time? That's actually why we're going to talk about email marketing and social media as examples today of how to communicate with your audience. But we do need to know, where does your audience spend their time? All of these things are going to help us create a stronger marketing campaign. Once you've defined your audience, now you can start mapping out how you're going to reach that audience. It's time to devise a plan. Take a snapshot of your company's current situation. What is your starting point? Where are you right now? One of the best ways to get a look at this, a thorough look, is through a SWOT analysis. That's our next tool. This will help you to identify your business's strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Having a clear view, really clear view of what you're good at and what you need to improve on, and then keeping an eye on those factors that have the potential to put you at risk or to let your competitors move in on you. This will all point you in the right direction when you're building that marketing strategy. Because keep in mind, your strategy should be tied directly to your business plan. When I meet with clients, the first thing that we do is we sit down and we talk about, how is business going? What are your pain points? What are your opportunities? Clients might come to us and say, we really need your help with Facebook. Great, we can help you with that. But is that where you really need our help? What is your goal with Facebook? What are you looking to do? Is that where the strength lies for you to gain and attract new customers? So this all comes in before we talk about the actual marketing campaign. The SWOT analysis is a well-known tool, of course, but for those of you who want to really dive in and look at this, maybe you're doing it for the first time, we have a breakdown on our website of that as well. Because there's only so much you can get to in an hour. So I want to be able to give you as many tools as possible. So for those of you that need this tool, it's available for you. Okay, so in our toolkit so far, we have the brand messaging, we have the buyer persona, and now we have the SWOT analysis. These are all tools designed to be internal tools. These are what we need as we're running our business. We're not going to market these. We're not going to put these out there for the whole world to see, but this will help us to stay on track. You know, when social media starts to feel overwhelming, or email campaigns start to feel overwhelming, or, insert any marketing campaign here, it starts to feel overwhelming because we don't have that guide. If we have a strong guide and we know what direction we're moving in, then it helps it to feel less overwhelming. We know exactly where we're going and what our goals are. So these are the internal facing documents. The question, now that these documents are completed in our toolkit, now becomes, where are you communicating this message? So again, we're going to focus today on two mediums, email and social media, because they are the most used mediums by your audience. And we want to go where your audience is. That's immediately going to eliminate some of the work. Go where your audience is. So social media is just one tool that we have in our toolkit. It helps us to get our message out, to disseminate our message. So I sometimes think of it as the glue that really holds all these different pieces or components of our marketing campaigns together. Or maybe it's the rubber band with that elasticity to stretch and help extend the reach of our message. For many businesses, social media is an underutilized tool in many ways, which means there's also greater opportunity there, because if your competitors aren't using it to its full potential, then that's room for you to move in and use it. Especially right now, social media usage, as I'm sure you know, because I'm guessing that maybe all of you or most of you have been on social media throughout, ever since COVID-19, kind of first rocked our world in March. Social media usage has increased by more than 61%. And these are numbers that we're seeing continue even after people have returned to work. LinkedIn is up 26% with a 55% increase in engagement between connections. Think of networking online now. That's where LinkedIn is coming in. Facebook is up 37%, Twitter 23%. Live streams on Instagram are up 70%. 70% since the start of March. So these numbers might even be a little outdated at this point because they're about a month old. But the thing to emphasize here is that we have seen a sustained increase in social media usage since the start of COVID-19. Also, don't be afraid to put some money behind your content. Leverage your content with some ads on social media. Now, this brings a whole layer of complexities that we're not going to get into the details and tools on advertising specifically, but I have to mention it because I want to plant this seed. If your audience is gathering around this social media water cooler, so we know your audience is online, they're on social media, it might be worth it for you to put a little money behind it to amplify your voice there. Social media and Google Ads right now are still the lowest we've pretty much ever seen because spending is down. Rates are low, which creates an opportunity. At one point, a few months ago, Facebook had cut its advertising rates by 20% because fewer advertisers, they're looking to get more people to be advertising. So it doesn't take a lot of money. It takes just formulating the right ad or sponsored post in a way that drives your audience to do something. What do you want your audience to do? Do you want them to like your page? Do you want them to read your blog, sign up for an event? Ads generate significant results if you're specific in your call to action. Make sure your audience knows what you want them to do. They're more likely to do it that way. So that's the biggest tip that I can give you for social media advertising. So let's talk about our strategic marketing toolkit for social media. Social media itself is a tool, right? But there are also tools to help us sharpen this tool. So, one of these gadgets, my team gets super geeky about content, building a content matrix. We love a good spreadsheet. Yes, there are people out there that like to build good spreadsheets, but here's how we use it. So you have all this content that you're creating. You're creating social posts, you're creating blogs. Are you using that content to its full potential? Or do you publish a blog once and that's the end of it? Are you repurposing it? Are you sending out, disseminating it to different channels? Are you dusting it off if it's evergreen and reusing it? So our social media matrix has tabs for media, original content, blogs, testimonials, videos, podcasts, interviews, infographics, white papers, downloadable material like ebooks and checklists, event photos, and more. All of this is content that can be used to share your message. We also have sections for key interactions with clients, community events, recruitment or hiring, brand story content. All of this, again, good content that can be used on social media. Another gadget that we love is a good content calendar, because what's this matrix if we don't know where all this content is going? So this content calendar, I'm telling you, will really help to eliminate a lot of that overwhelm that people end up feeling about, especially small business owners. You're trying to run your business and social media is a full-time job in and of itself, So a content calendar is really going to help you. So you're not every single morning trying to sit there and figure out what you're going to share today. Take an hour, plan ahead. Plan ahead for a few weeks or 1 week or a month, whatever works for you. But that will really help you to streamline your efforts and not feel like you're rushing at the last minute. Scheduling tools will also help with that. Some scheduling tools, our team likes to use Buffer. There are a lot of tools out there. Hootsuite, Later for Instagram, another good one. Find a scheduling tool that is easy for you to use. You want kind of flexibility. You want it to work with the platforms. Make sure it's approved by Facebook, for instance, so that you're using a third-party platform that has a good integration that's not going to break on you or cause your account to get shut down. Those are things to look at when you're picking a scheduling tool. There are tools for social media monitoring. If you're a business that has a lot of people posting about you online, social media monitoring is a great thing for you. And there are also tools for analytics and insights that you can use. We tend to, you can pay to have special reports done from third-party analytics providers. We tend to use the insights that are provided right by the platforms, but it depends on how detailed you want to get for the analytics. Algorithm guides. Okay, so this is the word that we love to hate, or hate to love, I don't know. Algorithms. We can't hate the algorithms, we just have to learn how to play by the rules. So make sure, depending on what social media platforms you're using, you know how they work. what's going to help your audience to see your posts. I know they can be a pain. Each platform has its own set of rules. Those rules are constantly changing. You might want to set up a Google alert so that you can see, Instagram a couple weeks ago had some more changes that have impacted reach and visibility. So make sure you're checking in, maybe check in once a month and see, okay, what's new? What's happening that I need to be aware of? Video streaming. Video streaming is hugely important. As I mentioned, video streaming on Instagram alone is up 70% since the start of COVID. The thing about video streaming is that because people love to watch videos, the algorithms love to show videos. So simply taking content that you would have done with a picture and using a video instead can be a great way to boost that post to be seen by more people. And actually, if you're interested in live video streaming, Lansing Marketing Hackers is going to have an event next Wednesday. You can find information on the Facebook page or Meetup. It's going to be all about video streaming, all of the various platforms out there, pros and cons, how to use that. So check that out from the Lansing Marketing Hackers. I have CANVA graphics on here because we know that in addition to the words that we write, the images we see on a page are also critically important on social media. And canva.com is a great tool to use, a free tool depending on your level of access for this site. There are pre-built templates for social media, email, flyers, you name it. You don't have to be a graphics wizard or a pro to be able to use Canva. So that can be a great way for you to even create GIFs or little videos to go in your emails or social media marketing campaigns. So if you're not proficient in Photoshop, Canva is going to be a great alternative for you. So add that tool to your toolkit. Okay, that's social media. How many of you have checked your email today? How many times have you checked your email today? If Sheryl Sandberg had predicted the top marketing tools for 2020, email marketing would not have been on her list. It's so funny because in 2010, she famously announced the death of email. It made sense at the time. With the rise of social media and other platforms, teenagers were just not using email like their parents were. So many people predicted that when those teenagers, Gen Z, entered the workforce, technology would shift and email would be gone. Except it's not gone. In fact, it has continued to grow. Email is the #1 activity on the internet, with 94% of internet users getting online just to check their email. That actually is higher than people getting online to check social media or even to do a Google search or other types of searches. So email's marketing power comes from its ability to really break through. Social media, sometimes we talk about which generations are on different platforms. We've got those cultural and generational, potential barriers there. Email does away with all of that. Everyone has email. So its effectiveness comes from its ability to really target a specific audience. There are 3.9 billion active email users compared to 3.5 billion active social media users. So the lesson here, though, is you need to know how email marketing works. Like social media, there are rules that power email marketing. How many of you hate getting spam in your inbox? The same is true with your clients and your customers. And that is why there are rules that govern how email works and what gets flagged, what gets into the inbox and what doesn't. So we really, as we look at our toolkit for email marketing, this makes up a big part of it. So let's look at these tools to help you create an effective email campaign. The first is using a third-party platform. So we need to use a third-party platform when emailing large amounts of people, kind of bulk emails, because of CAN-SPAM laws. So third-party platforms are where we go for this. So there are a lot of platforms out there. How do you choose which one to use? And, I had a client come to me at one point and she said, we don't use any of those platforms because it goes right to spam. So what was she doing instead? She was sending out individual emails to hundreds of people. No one has time for that. So let's look at these platforms and see, what are you looking for? What do you need to go to work and do for you? And then that will help you to choose the right platform. So let's evaluate several factors, starting with your goals for when you're using the system. What messages will you be communicating? What does your audience want from you? How can you best provide those resources while nurturing those leads and converting them for your business? Because let's remember, this is a sales and marketing tool, but we also need to provide that quality content that our audience is looking for. Otherwise, they're just going to block us anyway. So let's consider these factors. Once you've laid out your goals, looking at the different platforms to choose from. Of course, cost and value. Some email marketing tools might seem really affordable when you have just a few thousand contacts. But as soon as you grow that list, if that's a part of your big picture goal, look ahead and see what that's going to cost you. Are you still getting the value for the cost? What features are included? Look at whether there are pre-built email templates. If you're not great at graphics and design, or you don't have time for it, pre-built templates are going to be the way to go for you. Is there the capability for multiple contact lists? Will you have access to A/B testing? Is there an automatic send time optimization? Can you put emojis in the subject line? Is there placement for custom code if you want to add video? Each business needs different features. So as you're looking, don't just look at the cost comparison, but look at what features come with that cost and what do you need. Is the platform user-friendly? Depending on who in your office is going to be using this, you need to make sure the interface is easy to use, because otherwise you're going to waste your time trying to get an email so that it's mobile friendly, and no one has time for that, but yet you need it to be mobile friendly. Does it have a built-in CRM? If you are a small business and you don't have a robust CRM, you maybe don't need one. Well, maybe choose an email platform that has a good CRM, a good customer relationship management tool. This will also be helpful with automation and segmentation, two more factors to consider as you're checking out platforms, and I'll talk about those in a moment. Integrations are also important. We just had a couple of clients switch from Constant Contact to an email system called Klaviyo because they created Shopify websites during the pandemic, and they found that Constant Contact didn't have the features that they wanted for abandoned cart emails, and those types of things, those integrations with Shopify. So make sure that these different systems that you have in place are going to be able to communicate and work with one another. Deliverability. What good is an email marketing tool if 15% of your emails end up in the spam folder? Some platforms are definitely better than others. So write this one down. I like the site called Email Tool Tester. emailtooltester.com. It includes detailed reviews on multiple services to help you compare. And it will give you kind of a checklist of what boxes each one checks. Because remember, it's not just all about, this one costs more than this one. It's what are you getting for that cost? Is the value there? With all of that in mind, some platforms that I would recommend for you to consider are MailChimp is a great one. ActiveCampaign, Constant Contact, HubSpot, and iContact. And I mentioned Klaviyo a little bit earlier. Those are all great email systems. Those are all systems that my team uses. Yes, we use a variety of systems. We often get asked, what email system do you use? Well, it depends on what the client needs. And so that's, all of those things I just talked about are items that, that we consider when we're looking at email platforms. So real quickly, as we're talking about these key features, I'm going to just throw in a couple more things that you may want to consider depending on how much email marketing you do. Automation is really important. There will always be a place for one-off emails, but automation really helps you to consolidate. You can set up triggers to automatically send things like welcome emails, thank yous, asking for reviews. So if there's something where an if this, then that, a trigger that can be automated, go for it, because once you set it up, you can, sit back and watch it work. And yes, you need to check in on it. Automation does not mean forever. You don't have to ever do a thing again, but it is very helpful. You don't have to send a welcome email every time you get a new subscriber. Segmentation is also really important. So that's the next one I'm going to mention. Segmentation is when you break down your email subscribers into smaller segments based on specific criteria. So this might be geographic location, or specific interests. This might be purchase history, things like that. So these segments can help you to cater specifically to each of these different pieces of your email list that help you to more personalize the messages you're sending. Personalization really helps us because it creates that seemingly one-on-one experience when you're targeting your users. It's a broad term, personalization, but our numbers show that the more personal you can get, the more likely you are to convert and then therefore get more of a return on the investment you're spending. That's because people want to be seen as people. We don't want to be clicks, right? So the more that we feel like, oh, they're really talking to me, like this email came to me, the better off that they are in responding. One more buzzword I want to mention is user-generated content. This has been, we've seen a huge uptick in user-generated content, also called UGC, since the start of COVID. This is any time that someone outside of your business creates content for you. So this could be reviews. This could be sending you photos of the person using your product or your service. Use email campaigns to collect this content. You can disseminate this content through email, through social media, a variety of ways, but using emails to collect this content is a great way. Ask for reviews, send polls and surveys, find ways to incentivize your clients, perhaps to contribute content. The e-commerce platform 3D Cart says that 82% of consumers consider user-generated content before making a purchasing decision. And here comes my dog. Gotta love this work from home, right? All right, so one last thing to talk about when it comes to these important buzzwords from email marketing: accessibility. And this is more than a buzzword. Accessibility is something that we absolutely must have. Accessibility allows our emails to be read by everyone. It is the strong code base behind our email. So it's the best way to make sure that screen readers can read emails for the visually impaired. So things like alt text for images. You might see next to the image when you're building out an email campaign, it'll say ALT. Click on that, write a description of what that image is. Also, this helps for voice optimization, voice search. Roughly 250 million smart speakers are expected to be installed worldwide by the end of the year. So all of our content needs to be designed for voice optimization, but especially our emails as well. Okay, so I am going to jump ahead now, talking about both email marketing and social media marketing. It all comes back to the content. We win with content, but it's not enough to just copy and paste whatever content you have into your email or social media campaigns. First of all, we have to get the basics right. Choose the right platform to invest in, whether you're investing your time or your dollars or both. Start out slow by focusing on the right couple of platforms that you know your audience is using. Get those down before you expand, and make sure your content is customized for each of those platforms. What you put on social media, that in and of itself is not an email. You need to really build out the features of those emails. Your call to action might change between the social media post and the email. So make sure that you're really looking at the difference of how you're really crafting and creating that messaging. Set those realistic and measurable goals for all of your content. Know what you plan to get out of your marketing efforts. Do you want increased brand visibility? Are you looking to attract new clients? Are you nurturing current clients or leads? Make sure you have a clear idea of what you want to achieve. You can't achieve your goal if you don't have that goal established. So make sure you know what that is. Develop a strategy to make that happen. The basics include not just our text content, but our images and our media as well. Share original graphics when you can. People can tell the difference between a stock image. If you have to use stock images, get creative with them. Make sure they're sized specifically for the platforms that you're using. There's nothing worse than having a beautiful new headshot for LinkedIn and then having the head cut off because it's not sized appropriately. We're professionals. That's a simple sizing issue, you know, and CANVA, the tool that I mentioned, can help with that. Take the wheel and drive your traffic. Again, what are your goals? Using social media, using email marketing, None of that is going to be worth your time if you don't know and make it clear what you want your audience to do. So make it clear, connect the dots for them. Provide value and the sale will come, so they say, but only after you make it clear from your audience what you want them to do. So are they clicking on a link? Are they commenting on your post? Are they signing up with an email sign up button? Are they sharing it? When in doubt, use social media and email marketing to drive traffic back to your website. When a website is built beautifully the way that it should be, there are those calls to action built into your website, and your website will help you to convert that lead. So for your audience, that is more likely where they're going to get more information about you, where they're going to pick up the phone and call you or fill out a form to contact you. So also think about the information you're feeding to them and why are you feeding it to them? What do you want them to do? We write social media posts to be conversational and helpful, but at the end of the day, you still want your audience to do something. Have that clear call to action. We don't often talk about business development when it comes to marketing with social media and email, but I want to mention it just briefly because business development as we know it has blown up right now, right? Traveling is on hold, networking events are all online or they're scaled significantly down in size. So we're not able to connect with people the way that we're accustomed to. Who knows when we're going to have these large full-scale conferences back, except in the virtual world. So again, where is your audience? Your audience is online. They're on social media. They're in their inboxes. Use these mediums not just simply as a publishing platform for content, use it to connect in groups with live events. Couple ways we're seeing this in action. The Cincinnati Zoo has been bringing the safari to you, to kids every day at 3 p.m. on Facebook. You know, great way to round the kids up and go to the zoo without leaving home. We saw a number of businesses in the greater Lansing region that Saddleback Barbecue is one of them, really increased the amount of sales that they were bringing in, increased their brand awareness and recognition by tying these sales to campaigns that generated money for a hunger organization. So giving back to the community is a great way to stay connected as well. Back when the pandemic was first starting, back in mid-March, March 15th, our team at M Connections launched a series of videos called Expert Connections. We just found that we had a lot of people coming to us for answers, and we had the connections to be able to provide those answers. And we thought, okay, let's just take this live on Facebook and create this platform where others can just share and collaborate and connect. Our traffic was just tremendous. We had more than 35,000 organic views from all of these videos. And really it was just us acting as a connector. What can your business do to help do things like that as well? So there is a lot of marketing noise out there. The whole point of today's talk is really to figure out how to compete to regain your audience's attention, not just with competitors, but with all of this noise. Your messaging matters, your words, your images, write posts that are authentic, reflect your brand and your voice. Use these tools that we've now put in your toolkit and make sure that you're enjoying the content you're creating. Don't forget that social media is just that. It's social. Email marketing is meant to be engaging, to help you connect to other people. Let your digital space be a place where people can come together, have conversations about relevant topics, and also help you to nurture your business and get the information out that you need to make your business successful. So what comes next? Given the fluid situation of COVID-19, the only certainty we have is that our audience's behavior is going to continue to fluctuate. We knew that there was going to be a big uptick in the number of users online and in the digital marketing efforts we'd see. We had no idea that it was going to create this sustained momentum that we're still seeing. So really working to get your strategy in order, using these tools to help you get ahead. This is all going to help us as we continue to face the challenges that are still ahead and the opportunities that are going to come with it. So if you want to talk strategy, I'm always here to help. I'm going to open it up now for some questions. And just a reminder, we do have this page full of resources, mconnections.com/recovery. These PowerPoint slides will be on there along with gosh, I don't even know, maybe 20-ish, probably more than that, resources, individual resources, blogs, worksheets, all of it free for you to be able to work through a lot of the things that we've talked about today. So any questions? Where do we want to open this up, Michelle?
Well, one of the questions that came up as you were talking about social media, you kind of mentioned this explosion in usage and in growth. What demographics are you seeing that in? Where are you seeing the big growth at?
All demographics. And that's the interesting thing. Scott, I see your question. All demographics have seen major increases in social media. So, of course, TikTok, as we know, had a huge spike in users. I think, COVID really kind of has made that platform just soar. But like I was saying in the very beginning, I focused on Facebook and LinkedIn because that tends to be where our business audience is, more so than some of the other platforms. Depending on your business, Instagram might be another one. That's why I threw that one in there as well. But we're seeing these spikes across all of the platforms. So all generations are online. And even when the younger generations tell you they're not online, they are online. Like they're on their phones more than they're on their desktops, like many of us probably are right now. So that's something to keep in mind, is make sure that you are optimizing for mobile use, but all demographics.
And that kind of brings up another interesting question. You brought up TikTok, and how does a business kind of evaluate, where they should be? There are so many social media avenues out there, and you can't do them all, or you certainly won't do them all well. So how do you pick your top 3, or how do you hone in on that?
Yeah, great question. First and foremost, where is your audience? Because wherever your audience is, that's where you want to be. If your audience is very, if you're talking like C-suite executives, that's going to be LinkedIn. Being on Instagram probably isn't going to help you if your audience is, CEOs of companies. Of course, with some exception, but go where your audience is. That's going to give you the most bang for your buck. But also, Michelle, consider what are you comfortable with? What comes naturally to you? If you are really creative in design, and Instagram is a way that just helps you to connect and it comes more easily to you, look at whether it would be of benefit to you to be on Instagram, or how do you take what you're doing on Instagram and modify that same content so that it is more appropriate for a platform like LinkedIn. So it's kind of two parts. You definitely want to go where your audience is, but also look at what you enjoy and where you're comfortable.
So Kim Halfley from Foster Stiff had a question about email marketing and recommendations that you might make for compliance with GDPR, and I'm sure you know what that is, and other privacy laws.
Oh, Kim, great question. Hi, Kim. Gosh, Kim, I think hands down, the best thing you can do in order to stay compliant with your email marketing, and Kim's talking with some of these privacy laws, spam laws I mentioned, GDPR is also really important. Kim, using those third-party email marketing platforms is really going to help you with that, because they are also regulated to stay compliant, and so they have to make certain guarantees to you. Now, of course, you still need to make sure that what you're doing remains compliant and not outside of the scope of what the platforms are providing, but they also offer, for instance, MailChimp has a great resource center on its blog all about compliance issues. And so I find that to be really helpful. So the biggest thing is, if you're using a third-party platform, check on that. Compare, when you're comparing, maybe you're considering moving platforms or picking one up, look at those features and what's offered, compare notes on them. And certainly if you're using MailChimp, that doesn't mean that you can't go to HubSpot's blog to look and see what their rules are for making sure you stay compliant. The other thing, Kim, and I know you and I have talked about this before, is, these, and as you know, at a law firm, these rules and regulations and guidelines change on us. So, just last December, I was talking with someone who has a very robust email marketing campaign. They've been doing it for a long time. And we were talking about something that she didn't realize. It was kind of a basic thing. And she didn't realize that thing had changed. And so, things change all the time. Set up alerts, make sure, even if you're setting up a calendar alert and once a month you're reading the latest headlines, if email marketing is something that you do a lot of, make sure once a month you're checking in on, okay, what's new? What do I need to know? Or have a consultant that you touch base with regularly just to stay in the loop. Because, let's face it, you've got a lot on your plate, whether you're running a marketing department like Kim is or running a business. And so that's why we have our team of advisors to help us out. And Kim, I also saw that you asked about the Lansing Marketing Hackers group. I will share that in the chat box for the panelists. But if you just search Lansing Marketing Hackers on Facebook, it is a free group. Anyone is welcome to attend. It's a couple, like I mentioned, a couple of people just put it on kind of pro bono. A group like that or others that are on Facebook, I know the Lansing Chamber has a group on Facebook. Those are great ways to stay connected as well. Even if you join a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group and you just glance at the notifications once a week or once a month, that will help you to stay in the loop as well. So I strongly recommend find some Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups that are marketing related, especially if there's kind of that blind spot or trouble area. If you know that email marketing, for instance, is something that you because things are changing all the time, right? So if you feel like, man, I just need to keep up with this, find a group that focuses on that, and that will help keep you updated and in the loop.
I think I'll make sure to send a couple links out. We'll send a follow-up email. We'll make sure to send this, the recovery webpage from M Connections, the Lansing Marketing Hackers. We'll make sure to send all of that information to you guys as well, so you guys can plug in to some of these additional resources that are available to you throughout the community. And I thought it was interesting, and maybe you can expound on this a little bit, how email marketing and social media are not necessarily designed to sell something. It's more of a message piece, and they have to have very clear calls to action. And really, the website is kind of the home for all of this. So, Julie, can you maybe speak a little bit about the importance of having, of investing the time and resources into having a really dynamic website? Otherwise, these two pieces, they fall short.
Yeah, absolutely. So, at the end of the day, no one wants to be sold to, right? We're all smarter than that. That's why the Facebook ads get me, because when I'm on Target and I leave something in my cart and then, it follows me around through the retargeting ads through Google and then on Facebook, I'm like, it gets me every time. But in general, people don't want to be sold to. We feel like we know a lot anyway, because this is the DIY generation that we're all a part of, all of us, no matter what generation we're in, because we have everything at our fingertips. We can just Google it, right? It's become a verb, just Google it. So if we already know everything, then we don't want to be sold to. So the more that we can do as businesses to provide information, provide resources, it's that thought leadership. Use that to then drive people back to your website. Make the sale, so to speak, on your website, whether you're selling products or services. So on your website, it's really important to remember, kind of in short, Michelle, that we often think of our homepage as the landing page. That's the page that gets all the attention because it's the front cover of the book, right? Or the table of contents. But depending on what people are looking at, they might be landing on your blog. They might be landing on one of your service pages, depending on, maybe they're Googling and you show up in a Google search engine result. And so that home page, every single page needs to have that functionality that the home page has. Not the look and feel of it, but the functionality, meaning, do people know who you are? Do they know what you do? Do they know how to contact you? Do they know what you want them to do on that page? So it's always, I think the biggest thing is always think of what that end result is. What do you want the audience to do? Because they're not going to do it. If you don't know, if you look at your page and you're like, okay, this is a great page with lots of info. It looks pretty. I like the pictures, but there isn't a form fill, or there isn't a, call us now. If there isn't some sort of call to action, if you don't know what the audience is going to do, they don't know what they're going to do unless they take that next step on their own. So our goal is to help them take that next step.
That's a great point. And at this point, I don't, the only other thing I had in here was maybe a little bit about the email personalization. You had talked about how really important that is. How does a person capture the information to personalize an email if maybe they've never done business before, or this is sort of a cold email or a cold marketing outreach? How do you build in that personalization?
Yeah, so the personalization definitely builds as you get to know more about your audience. So, for instance, we can, if you're selling a product on your website, that data, even what people are looking at on your website, but not purchasing, that data can be collected and stored and then used through email. There are a lot of tools that we can use to really capture as much information as possible. The same things that kind of creep us out, with Big Brother watching us, those are the same things that we can use, of course, in the right ways to be able to email people and send them messages. But also, so if you're just starting out and you're just starting to collect this information and build those email campaigns, use your social media and use your email marketing to find out what people like. Find out what they're interested in or not interested in. Collect the information that way so that you can then use personalization tools to target that. So for instance, if you have people sign up for your email newsletter, have them, create some check boxes when they're signing up. What topics interest them? What are they looking for? Why are they signing up for your email? You can do some of that through trial and error as you send out emails. You can find out, what content are people reading? Where are they clicking? Things like that. But ask them. People like to know that their opinions matter. They like to know that you hear them and that you're listening to them. So oftentimes we kind of shy away from asking these questions, but really I think, what's the worst that's going to happen? They don't answer, right? So ask them these questions, and then that will help you to create content that they're then going to be interested in.
Awesome. My gosh, so much good information. I don't have any audience questions left, so we've got about 4 minutes. So Julie, if you maybe want to kind of give us one final marketing, thought, and then we'll give folks a couple minutes of their day back.
Yeah, the last thing that I'll say is kind of a little maybe less marketing-ish related and kind of more human related. And people who know me know that, at the end of the day, we're all trying to figure this out together. And some of us, I might have this marketing information that's really helpful, but other people have the financial information that's helpful for me as I'm running my business, or the chamber connections, and I find that really just connecting with people, that's what it's all about. It all comes back to the very basics of connecting. And that's actually what we're doing with our marketing. We're really finding ways to connect and talk to people and be able to grow these relationships in some really unusual times. Especially I get a lot of phone calls talking with people who used to do a lot of in-person networking. And we've seen a lot of great virtual programs and presentations pop up. So as we continue to navigate all of this, make sure you have your community around you that you can ask these questions of. No one is going through this alone, I guess is my point. We all have parts that we have figured out, and then we have parts that we have not figured out. And so the more we can really connect and have these conversations, I think the better Lansing is going to be as a region to be able to get through this. And that's really why our website has all of these resources, and there are other great resources out there as well to help people figure all of this out.
Yeah, collectively as a region, we'll bring enough pieces to the table, and we will definitely get through this and emerge stronger and better on the other side. So Julie, thank you for the information. Thank you for the little bit of inspiration there at the end, and the reminder that we're all in this together, and we're also all here to help and support one another. So when questions or issues do arrive, you have a litany of resources and people to help you, to guide you, to be a lending ear, listening ear through all of this. So there's Julie's contact information, and as I mentioned earlier, I'll collect a couple of these really helpful links that she has mentioned throughout the presentation, and we'll send a follow-up email to everybody so you guys have all this good information right at your fingertips. Well, it's 11:58. We're going to end right on time and give folks a couple minutes to start their lunch early. Julie, thank you again, and thank you all for joining us today. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks, guys. Bye.